Hi, good. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
First overall.
I know, yes.
That's
very
incredible.
Crazy. It's very crazy. Well, you know how that feels.
Yes, I know. I felt like it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, and what, 2 national championships now?
Yes, too.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Looking forward to sitting down and chatting with you guys.
Yeah, you as well. Thank
Awesome.
you for being here.
Yeah, so for me, funny enough, I never even have been to Ohio before. Me growing up in Toronto, just outside of Toronto, and when the draft happened, Columbus traded up to take me first overall, and it was just surprising to me the first time coming to Ohio, which wasn't really known as a hockey town, was very surprising to me, and that was kind of the biggest shock for me moving to Columbus.
Yeah, no, I didn't know much about the draft process. I was still in college and PVF was new, so it all was kind of up in the air. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was also trying to focus on my season at hand and not get too far ahead of the future. But obviously, I got drafted, and it was funny because last year I played at Ohio State. We had 2 games here, and we were walking around kind of on campus, and I told my teammates, this is a really cool place. Like, I definitely think I would want to be here at some point. Like, Ohio State could have been fun to go to school, just be in Columbus. So now that I'm here, it's so awesome, and all the people, the culture here, they love sports. So my first week here has been really incredible.
That's what dragged me in too, was coming here, and I ended up getting traded down the road, but I always kept Columbus home just because it always felt like such an easy place to live. In the Midwest, just nice people, and it literally reeled me in, and now I have my family here, so it's interesting to hear you say that from just coming here for a weekend of games against the Buckeyes. You know what's funny is I showed up at Nationwide Arena in late June, early July of 2002, and I remember walking in through the loading dock and seeing kind of all the stands, and just the size of the arena, which just seems huge. But the one thing that sticks with me is it's the exact same smell that when I walk in that just relates to like all these different memories of playing at Nationwide Arena.
What was your first experience like playing? Like, how were the fans? What was the culture like here? Because I know a ton about the hockey culture, so just would love to hear your experience.
Yeah, so I think Columbus in general is an amazing sports city. I mean, they get behind their sports teams no matter what. We've had a few tough seasons as Blue Jackets, but we still almost sell out our games. We have a great fan base, and it excites me for when we actually get a chance to go for the Stanley Cup, how crazy the city's going to be. My first memory was probably my first NHL game. Playing at Nationwide Arena. It was against the Chicago Blackhawks, and it was a sold-out arena. And I remember stepping on the ice for the first time and thinking to myself that I got to be the first overall draft pick. Now I'm playing in my first NHL game, and it was like my dreams were coming true. Where as a professional athlete, you always have these dreams and aspirations to do big things, but this was kind of that moment where my blade was hitting the ice, and the dream was coming true, and I ended up scoring a goal that first game, and the crowd went crazy, and to this day it's still probably one of my highlights of my career. So I'm excited for you to get the opportunity to take the reins as a first overall pick into Nationwide Arena.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what you can do.
Yeah. Were you nervous or were you excited going into the game?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I don't know how you feel before games, but I always had some nerves. But I try to turn my nerves into a positive energy and a controlled emotion. Do you get nervous before your games?
I think I get more antsy than nervous. I feel like with volleyball, it's such a momentum game, so there's highs and lows, swings back and forth. So warming up and you have the whole 50 minutes on the clock that you're out there and you're just kind of getting your reps in, getting a feel of everything. But once that first point's over, I feel like I can kind of start to slow down, or if I get my first walk or a good kill, I'm like, okay, I can relax now, like I know how to play volleyball again. So definitely more antsy at first, but I think once you do one good thing, that you can kind of calm down and relax.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because I don't know if you knew this, but I played outside power in high school.
Oh, okay.
And I loved volleyball growing up and always played it. But eventually I had to pick hockey or volleyball. And thankfully I went with hockey,
Right.
just because there was, growing up in Canada, there was a little
Right.
more direction and pathway to do it as a profession. But is this your first time in Nationwide Arena?
It is.
And did you see the bowl and everything? Have you got?
I didn't get to go out there yet.
No, not yet.
Just the loading dock in here.
Yeah, so I'm excited for you to see it, because it really is a beautiful arena that has aged well, and around the hockey world, it's still known as one of the best places to come play.
So, Asjia, just so you know, in Canada, we call left sides, outsides, power hitters.
Oh, is it not called outside power?
American.
Yeah, so you're probably like, what is he talking
I
about?
assumed it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So I was born with a leak in my mitral valve and a heart murmur. Always knew about it. I would go to the cardiologist once a year. Always had my normal checkups, but I didn't really start playing high-level sports until 7th grade when I moved to Texas, and that's when I started to realize I wasn't feeling the same as my teammates, and found out that I was going to have open heart surgery. So they went in, repaired that mitral valve with a ring, and didn't feel great after, but I just assumed that was kind of my new normal, and I just have to, go day by day and figure it out. And went through high school, really struggled with any type of cardio activities. Got to college, and college is definitely another level. Went to University of Texas, and first summer workouts, I couldn't even get through the warm-ups. I was really struggling. And then that first spring, my cardiologist told me that I had to quit because the leak had gotten too severe. And basically, because the valve wasn't closing all the way, blood was going the opposite way through my heart. So I was working extra hard to pump it back the right way. So the size of my heart was increasing. It was functioning, my whole cardiovascular system was functioning at like 50%. So I was not in a good space. But as I'm sure you know, being a competitive athlete, you don't ever want to kind of admit to not feeling well, and you want to just push through and do what you can. And I'd redshirted my freshman year, so I was getting ready to start my first season playing, and it was just really frustrating in the moment. But I ended up getting my second surgery in January of 2020 at the Cleveland Clinic. So Ohio's has a good place in my heart, definitely. But and then after that, it's been so crazy just to see how drastically different my body has felt, and being able to just focus specifically on my skill set in volleyball and not worry, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to get through this drill? I'm not being pulled in and out and worrying about what's my heart rate at compared to all my other teammates. So it definitely was a struggle and a journey through college, figuring that out. But just seeing myself on like this side and how much of an impact getting through that has made has been so incredible. But it is funny because I realized the other day that I was in Ohio when I had my surgery. So I'm back in Ohio again.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything
so
connects back to Ohio.
it does.
So is there still challenges on day-to-day stuff that you have to be aware of? And
I'm always pretty aware of my symptoms and how I feel.
Yeah.
But I haven't had any episodes or anything since I had that surgery, which is really great. I always have like free reign to pull myself out if I feel anything. But I think just growing up with this condition, I'm so on high alert of like how I feel in my body at all times that I'm pretty quick to say something, but I have free reign to just go play.
that's so impressive, to think about, what you've been through and the adversity that you've climbed through to get to the position of the first overall pick. But not only that, to get through college and win national championships, and that's impressive. And I don't even know if I can talk about my injuries after that, because
Definitely can talk about it.
But you know what, luckily enough for me, I've stayed pretty healthy over my career. In the hockey world, the average is about 4 years and 200 games.
Oh, wow.
And I got lucky and I got to play for 15 years and over 1,000 games. I have all my real teeth, which everyone always seems to ask me. I did wear a mouth guard and a visor, but early on in my career, concussion protocol wasn't really a thing. So you would get hit, you would kind of see stars, you would feel out of it, or kind of have that hungover, dizzy feeling, and the doctors and staff would just say, if you feel good enough to go, then you just go. But as my career went on, the NHL did a really good job in bringing in a concussion protocol, and I probably had three major concussions, and I got to a point in my career where I was actually going to sign back in Columbus, and we had a deal done, and I was going to play a couple more years here and then hang them up. But my symptoms kind of hung around a little too long, and I had 3 young kids at the time, and I felt like I put my time in with my 15 years, and the game gave me so much.
Right.
So it was, and you never know how bad that next concussion is going to be.
Right.
So
yeah.
I thought, let's not gamble and just try to live a great life in Columbus with my kids. And that was kind of the tough part as you probably just start your career. How fast it goes. Like the next thing you know, I'm sitting here, I'm retired, I'm 4 years out of the game, and it's
Right.
just, I remember older people telling me when I started, like, hey, it's gonna go fast, so enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just made me think of that as I sit here with you, just how exciting it must be for you and for me to kind of see this volleyball team come into Nationwide Arena, and I'm looking forward to coming to some games.
How are your interactions with the Columbus fans? As we talked about, it's a huge sports city, so I'm sure people recognize you and your family all the time. So how was your experience with that?
Yeah, you know what? It was it was a fun place for me to come to when I was drafted, just because it was a different feel than Toronto, where Toronto was a hockey city, and coming to Columbus, there was an understanding that we had to grow the game in Ohio, the game of hockey. So I will say that the fans were always so respectful of your time. They just wanted to say hi. It wasn't like you were. It was just different in Toronto and Canada, where they'd be following you around and chasing you through a mall and that stuff. But I will say it always felt like the people in Ohio and in Columbus were just so authentic with, wanting to get a picture with you or an autograph, and then wishing you the best of luck. And I will say the one thing that I found about Columbus people, and I've played in New York, I've played in Boston, and something that when I think about your guys' season starting is it's just they want to see an honest effort, and I think as an athlete you can appreciate that with fans. But it seems it's when I first got here, I used to hang out with some Buckeye football players.
Okay.
And they would bring me down on campus, and not a lot of them would know who I was, but everyone knew who the Buckeye football players were. So I'm interested to hear your experience with your first time coming to Columbus as the first overall pick and going to the volleyball tournament.
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, because being in Texas, I knew that a lot of people knew me and followed me down there just because I'm from Dallas and then went to school in Austin. But coming up here, I guess after the Final Four, we had 2 million viewers, which is the most ever for volleyball Final Four. So I guess I underestimated that people knew and watched. But it was really fun, and it was really crazy just to see how many young girls were so invested in watching college volleyball. Because when I was younger, I definitely focused on like the University of Texas, but didn't have as much knowledge about all the teams. But I just think now with how volleyball is going, there's so much more exposure, and girls are able to see kind of more about the individual athletes, or like following them on social media. So I had so many girls coming up to me like knowing things about my life, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. You live in Ohio, I live in Texas, but you still keep in touch with me. But it was really fun and really awesome to see just the support that I was also getting up here, and then hopefully that'll translate to a lot of them coming to our games, which they said they will. So I'm definitely excited for that, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that, because my daughter's just getting into volleyball, and
Oh, awesome.
I'm thinking that she might get my height, my side of the family's height. So talking with one of my co-workers, Todd Chirac, who his family's been through the whole volleyball circuit, but it's interesting, and I brought her to a Buckeye game, and it's I don't want to say I was surprised by the following, but I just feel like it's a major sport that people really care about, and I think we're excited. We're just new to it, and figuring out all the different clubs and the different sessions and stuff. But I think you'll be surprised as the Columbus fans kind of get into this professional team. But we've had a great time, and it's such a great sport, and it's fun fun for me to talk about something different that I am actually passionate about too.
Right. Yeah, no, that's how I felt. My dad played in NBA for 17 years, so I feel like I was always around basketball. So finding something that was more of my own was really fun. So I feel like you and your daughter might have similar experience.
Yeah, I hope so. What teams did your dad play for?
So majority of his career was with Indiana Pacers, and then I was going to say this, he played for the Raptors and the Celtics. So I lived in Toronto and Boston for a little bit. But that was when I first was introduced to hockey, actually, because I didn't really know a ton. And then we moved to Toronto. Obviously, everyone's into hockey there.
Yeah, that's all there is.
And all my friends in Boston were like Bruins fans. So
yeah,
got my first real introduction there. Yeah.
So you lived in 2 original 6 cities, which we call in the NHL, the original 6 teams being Boston and Toronto. So that's interesting, but I remembered your dad in Toronto because the Raptors was such a big deal when we got an NBA team there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny that you lived in Toronto and Boston.
Yeah.
But I would love to know, because I was in your position coming to Columbus as a first overall pick, and I kind of knew what I was looking forward to in Columbus. Is there anything that you're excited about to be spending a lot of time in Columbus and playing in front of these fans?
I'm definitely just excited to experience the culture and the fans. When I played in Columbus last year, it was fun to be there because their fans were definitely very rowdy, but they were rooting against me, clearly. So I'm definitely excited to have that type of fan environment rooting for us while we're here. So I'm just really experiencing what Columbus has to offer for me.
Well, I must say I'm excited for you, just because it's kind of bringing me back to when I first came to town and all the excitement and all the buzz around the city. And I'm honestly truly excited to come watch you and bring my daughter and
Yes.
you know, just watch you guys kill it out there.
Awesome, thank you. Oh. First hockey jersey, it's pretty cool. I have it from a legend, so.
Oh, yeah.